though this word is true evermore. Yet people are as unable to understand it when they hear it for the first time, as before they have heard it at all. For though all things come to pass in accordance with this word, people seem as if they had no experience of them, when they make trial of words and deeds such as I set forth, dividing each thing according to its kind, and showing how it truly is. But other people know not what they are doing when awake, even as they forget what they do in sleep. So we must follow the common, yet though my word is common, the many live as if they had a wisdom of their own. The sun is the width of a human foot. Oxen are happy when they find bitter vetches to eat. They vainly purify themselves by defiling themselves with blood, just as if one who has stepped into the mud were to wash his feet in mud. Any person who marked them doing thus would deem them mad. And they pray to these images as if one were to talk with a person's house, knowing not what gods or heroes are. The sun is new every day. If all things were turned to smoke, the nostrils would distinguish them. It is the opposite which is good for us. Asses would rather have straw than gold. Couples are things whole and things not whole. What is drawn together and what is drawn asunder, the harmonious and the discordant. The one is made up of all things, and all things issue from the one. Every beast is driven to pasture with blows. You cannot step twice into the same rivers, for fresh waters are ever flowing in upon you. To delight in the mire. Nightwalkers, Magians, bak choy, lenai, and the initiated. The mysteries practiced among people are unholy mysteries. For if it were not to Dionysus that they made a procession, and sang the shameful phallic hymn, they would be acting most shamelessly. But Hades is the same as Dionysus, in whose honor they go mad and rave. How can one hide from that which never sets? The many do not take heed of such things as those they meet with, nor do they mark them when they are taught, though they think they do. If you do not expect the unexpected, you will not find it, for it is hard to be sought out and difficult. Knowing not how to listen nor how to speak. When they are born, they wish to live and to meet with their dooms, or rather to rest, and they leave children behind them to meet with their dooms in turn. All the things we see when awake are death, even as all we see in slumber are sleep. Those who seek for gold dig up much earth and find a little. People would not have known the name of justice if these things were not. Gods and men honor those who are slain in battle. Greater deaths win greater portions. Man kindles a light for himself in the night time, when he has died but is alive. The sleeper, whose vision has been put out, lights up from the dead. He that is awake lights up from the sleeping. There awaits people when they die such things as they look not for nor dream of. The most esteemed of them knows but fancies, and holds fast to them. Yet of a truth justice shall overtake the artificers of lies and the false witnesses. For even the best of them choose one thing above all others: immortal glory among mortals, while most of them are glutted like beasts. This world, which is the same for all, no one of gods or men has made. But it was ever, is now, and ever shall be an ever-living fire, with measures of it kindling, and measures going out. The transformations of fire are first of all sea, and half of the sea is earth, half whirlwind. It becomes liquid sea, and is measured by the same tale as before it became earth. The wise is one only. It is unwilling and willing to be called by the name of Zeus. And it is law, too, to obey the counsel of one. Fools, when they do hear, are like the deaf. Of them does the saying bear witness that they are absent when present. People who love wisdom must be acquainted with very many things indeed. For it is death to souls to become water, and death to water to become earth. But water comes from earth, and from water soul. Swine wash in the mire, and barnyard foals in dust. Thales foretold an eclipse. In Priene lived Bias, son of Tutamas, who is of more account than the rest. He said, "Most people are bad." The learning of many things teacheth not understanding, else would it have taught Hesiod and Pythagoras, and again Xenophanes and Hecataios. Wisdom is one thing. It is to know the thought by which all things are steered through all things. Homer should be turned out of the lists and whipped, and Archilochos likewise. Wantonness needs putting out, even more than a house on fire. The people must fight for its law, as for its walls. You will not find the boundaries of soul by traveling in any direction. So deep is the measure of it. Self-conceit is a falling sickness, and eyesight a lying sense. Let us not conjecture at random about the greatest things. The bough is called life, but its work is death. One is 10,000 to me, if they be the best. We step and do not step into the same rivers. We are and are not. It is wise to hearken, not to me, but to my word, and to confess that all things are one. People do not know how what is at variance agrees with itself. It is an attunement of opposite tensions, like that of the bow and the lyre. Time is a child playing draughts, the kingly power is a child's. War is the father of all and the king of all, and some he has made gods and some men, some bound and some free. The hidden attunement is better than the open. The things that can be seen, heard, and learned are what I prize the most. People allow themselves to be deceived as Homer was, who yet was wiser than all the Greeks. For some boys killing lice deceived him, saying, "What we see and catch we leave behind. What we neither see nor catch, we take with us." Hesiod is most people's teacher. People are sure he knew very many things. A man who did not know day or night. They are one. Physicians who cut, burn, stab, and rack the sick demand a fee for it which they do not deserve to get. The straight and the crooked path of the fuller's comb is one and the same. The way up and the way down is one and the same. The sea is the purest and the impurest water. Fish can drink it, and it is good for them. To people, it is undrinkable and destructive. Mortals are immortals, and immortals are mortals, the one living the other's death and dying the other's life. That they rise up and become the wakeful guardians of the quick and dead. It is the thunderbolt that steers the course of all things. Fire is want and surfeit. Fire in its advance will judge and convict all things. God is day and night, winter and summer, war and peace, surfeit and hunger. But he takes various shapes, just as fire, when it is mingled with spices, is named according to the savor of each. Ita vitalis calor a sole procedens omnibus quae vivunt vitam subministrat, cui sententiae Heraclitus ad quiescens optimam similitudinem dat de aranea ad animam, de tela arenae ad corpus, sic ut aranea ait stans in medeo telae sentit, quam cito musca aliquem filum sum corrumpit aitaque illuc celeriter curit quasi de fili persectione dolens, sic hominis anima aliqua parte corporis laesa, illuc festini meat quasi impatiens laesiones corporis, cui firme et proportionaliter iuncta est. Therefore Heraclitus rightly called them atonements, since they are to make amends for evils and render their souls free from the dangers in generation. I distinguish two kinds of sacrifices. First, those of people wholly purified, such as would rarely happen in the case of a single individual, as Heraclitus says, or of a certain very few people. A little better, then, Heraclitus has considered human opinions to be children's toys. Think, too, of they who forget where the way leads. They are estranged from that with which they have the most constant intercourse. It is not meet to act and speak like people asleep. We ought not to behave like children who learn from their parents. Those who are asleep are fellow workers in what goes on in the world. Fire lives the death of air, and air lives the death of fire. Water lives the death of earth, earth that of water. It is pleasure to souls to become moist. The way of humankind has no wisdom, but that of God has. Humankind is called a baby by God, even as a child by humankind. We must know that war is common to all and strife is justice, and that all things come into being and pass away through strife. And according to Heraclitus, rhetoric is the prince of liars. The wisest person is an ape compared to God, just as the most beautiful ape is ugly compared to a person. It rests by changing. It is a weariness to labor for the same masters and be ruled by them. It is hard to fight with one's heart's desire. Whatever it wishes to get, it purchases at the cost of soul. The wise person is not known because of humankind's want of belief. The fool is fluttered at every word. And it is the same thing in us that is quick and dead, awake and asleep, young and old. The former are shifted and become the latter, and the latter in turn are shifted and become the former. The waking have one common world, but the sleeping turn aside each into a world of their own. All things are in exchange for fire, and fire for all things, even as wares for gold and gold for wares. It scatters and it gathers, it advances and retires. And the Sibyl, with raving lips uttering things mirthless, unbedonized, and unperfumed, reaches over 1,000 years with her voice, thanks to the God in her. The Lord, whose is the oracle at Delphi, never utters nor hides their meaning, but shows it by a sign. The sun will not overstep his measures. If he does, the araignées, the handmaids of justice, will find him out. It is best to hide folly, but it is hard in times of relaxation over our cups. Corpses are more fit to be cast out than dung. Dogs bark at everyone they do not know. Souls smell in Hades. If there were no sun, it would be night, for all the other stars could do. The seasons that bring all things. I have sought for myself. The eyes are more exact witnesses than ears. To God, all things are fair and good and right, but people hold some things wrong and some right. In the circumference of a circle, the beginning and end are common. For what thought or wisdom have they? They follow the poets and take the crowd as their teacher, knowing not that there are many bad and few good. Homer was an astronomer. One day is like any other. Eyes and ears are bad witnesses to people if they have souls that understand not their language. Of all whose discourses I have heard, there is not one who attains to understanding that wisdom is apart from all. It is better to conceal ignorance than to expose it. It is not good for people to get all they wish to get. It is sickness that makes health pleasant, evil good, hunger plenty, weariness rest. Self-control is the highest virtue, and wisdom is to speak truth and consciously to act according to nature. Thought is common to all. Those who speak with understanding must hold fast to what is common to all, as a city holds fast to its law, and even more strongly. For all human laws are fed by the one divine law. It prevails as much as it will, and it suffices for all things with something to spare. To the soul belongs the self-multiplying logos. It pertains to all people to know themselves and to learn self-control. A man, when he gets drunk, is led by a beardless lad, tripping, knowing not where he steps, having his soul moist. The dry soul is the wisest and best. A person's character is their fate. The limit of dawn and evening is the bear, and opposite the bear is the boundary of bright Zeus. The Ephesians would do well to hang themselves, every grown man of them, and leave the city to beardless lads. For they have cast out Hermodoros, the best man among them, saying, "We will have none who is best among us. If there be any such, let him be so elsewhere and among others." Debate. Nature loves to hide. The fairest cosmos is merely a rubbish heap poured out at random. Even the posset separates if it is not stirred. Cold things become warm, and what is warm cools. What is wet dries, and the parched is moistened. Pythagoras, son of Mnesarchos, practiced scientific inquiry beyond all other people, and making a selection of these writings, claimed for his own wisdom what was but a knowledge of many things and an imposture